What's up, guys? We're here at AMC Town Square with Chasing Cinema.
Mr. James Hsu.com,
and we are here for Pacific Rim 2.
Uprising.
John Boyega.
So,
Finn.
Yes. Yeah, and only recently did we realize that Pacific Rim came out like 4 or 5 years ago. That's
Time goes fast. I remember watching Pacific Rim with you.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, I know. Time's flying by, as we've said many a times on this show. So yeah, Pacific Rim, from the mind of Guillermo del Toro, who won his Oscar this year. The first one was met with some love. I mean, I think a lot of people were surprised how much people got into it. I don't think it was expecting to be this massive franchise, but it definitely connected with audience. It got word of mouth. I know our good friend Mr. Kent was a big fan of the first movie. You liked the first movie.
It was cool.
See, I don't really. I mean, I can't even.
Like 6 out of 10.
I remember not being too crazy about it, and then I don't really remember much about it now. So going into this, I've not rewatched Pacific Rim to prep, but I'm just kind of like, all right, well, whatever, Maybe they'll surprise me. I remember Charlie Day and obviously Idris Elba being very memorable from the first one. That's really about it. So now we have Uprising. Little too late for a sequel, or what do you think? You think people are gonna eat it up?
Well, I think it's important to note that the part 1 barely made its money back.
Yes.
And so a lot of people were not confused, but a lot of people were like kind of shocked that, oh wow, they're gonna greenlit a part 2, and so it's like, oh, are you gonna bring? Are you gonna bring back Idris Elba? Are you like, what kind of story? Are we gonna do a prequel, or is it gonna be a sequel? And then they said it's gonna be a sequel. John Boyega obviously has a lot of power and a lot of fire right now from the Star Wars, obviously, and so they came out this movie, and the reason why they were able to make the money they did was because of the Middle Kingdom. Go to China, and China really came through and really pushed it over to the point where they were able to, you know what, let's go for it, because internationally they enjoyed this movie, and so if we can capitalize on the international market, then we can definitely, probably profit.
Yeah.
And after getting out of this movie right now,
yes. Now Pacific Rim Uprising, what did you think?
I think the movie's made for China.
Yeah.
I didn't realize half the cast was gonna be Chinese. I didn't realize 25% of the movie was gonna be in Mandarin, which for me is fine because I speak Mandarin. I understood a good chunk of it.
Yeah.
Some of it, it was funny because she was like, "Don't make me repeat myself in any other language." I was like, "Oh, actually, I think I need your help."
Yeah.
Some of that was, and also the sentences she was saying too was very like,
she's
not conversational. It was very strict. So, or that strict isn't the right word. Leadership terms, I guess. So
formal,
very formal. First, I was like, "Oh yeah, I don't even understand." So yeah. It was, just you get.
You know a movie's good when the first thing you talk about is the Mandarin language.
This movie was made for people in China, and this movie was made for people in Japan. Like, you could tell, they like hardcore made sure that we understood that.
There's definitely a market. Well, I mean, as you guys know me, I'm not a big like researcher into like stuff like that. I'm very much like, what's on screen. You are. So I mean. But once you said that, it immediately made sense by like how much. Yeah,
this movie was
to do so much in Mandarin, particularly, is kind of like the big signal that it is meant for China.
Yes,
even though these movies always do, these big, huge movies always kind of do quite well over there.
Yeah, but you know what China's doing a lot now too is they'll pull the movie. Like, so they'll let an American movie come into the theater.
Yes. And
then they'll let them make a nice chunk of money, and then they'll just pull them out. They'll just pull it out of the theater, and you can tell that they're like, no, this is a Chinese movie. Look, guys. So I'm curious to see what's gonna happen in China, because China, you can obviously make a lot of money because there's a good amount of Chinese people in China.
But they can still shock you, China, right? Because was it Justice League was supposed to do
Star Wars was supposed to do well,
and it didn't do that.
It didn't do good. Star Wars is just not big in China. It's just not big. It's just not popular. And then Black Panther. First week in China did well, and the second week it only did like 8 million.
Oh wow!
So it went from literally like 80 or something like that to 8.
Oh wow!
Like huge, and then now it's gone. So China's it's a game that you're playing, but overall for me, this movie. Sorry, I just want to preface that. For me, the movie, it was a step down from the original. For me, it was probably like a 4 out of 10. For me, I think that if you enjoyed Pacific Rim. It does everything Pacific Rim. They had to even say the word Pacific Rim, I think, twice in the movie. I don't think they said that in the first one.
I don't remember.
But in this one, I think most notably, I was like, oh, they said the name of the movie. Oh, they said it again. And
and before you go, I just really quick, I do want to do like a little spoiler section because I have a lot to say about this one particular spoiler.
Oh, I have something too. So good call. Yes, and there was another part where, this isn't a spoiler. It's just it almost felt like a little YA, young adult.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden it went from this Pacific Rim, we're fighting, and all of a sudden there's this young adult theme going on in the movie, and that was interesting. And they had a lot of the same tropes that you would expect, and for me it's definitely a one-time watch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
basically what you're saying is like they're like, well, let's put our hand in YA, let's put our hand in the big action stuff, and then in China,
we gotta get in the middle
trying to get everything.
We gotta get Japan. If we do all 4 of these things, we will make money.
I think the strongest element here in Pacific Rim Uprising is easily John Boyega. He's a very talented.
I enjoy him.
But I also think that this movie will really show you how important the script is, because as charming, as charismatic I think he is just nowhere near as enticing as Finn. His character in Finn is so much more developed and not as kind of like one-liney and sometimes really cheesy one-lines like he is here. He still is able to kind of manage the character very well, but I just think that the script obviously doesn't let him really kind of do these great things as a character. There wasn't Scott Eastwood also is in this movie.
I didn't like him.
Yeah, he's he plays his character is a stereotype. It's a very archetype character we see many times.
Yeah, it was the character.
But it was the character, but also he doesn't really bring anything to the movie to kind of bring it to this new level or anything.
And he wants to be Wolverine. I'm just like,
well, obviously, like I was just saying, John Boyega, material is a big thing. But I will say, even in
Suicide Squad.
He was in Suicide Squad, and then he was in Furious 8.
Yeah.
And, I thought he was alright in Furious 8, actually. Or Fast 8, is it Fast 8? But
yeah, Fast 8.
I mean...
Idiot.
I know. God, let the trolls come out. But, if you're watching this channel, you obviously know already I'm not a big Fast and Furious fan, so that shouldn't surprise you. I just felt like there was nothing special here when it came to the actual fighting sequences. I think the best sequence as far as action was the very first action sequence we get when... John Boyega discovers this rogue robot. I already forgot what the robots are called. But Kaijus. So he finds this rogue kaiju, and then there's this really interesting chase sequence, and I think that was like the highlight for me in the movie. All the other battle sequences that happened weren't very interesting. I don't think they really created a very good dynamic. Where I remember at least liking the action sequences in the first Pacific Rim. There is the battle in the kind of ice setting. I believe it was an Asian country. I don't remember if it was Thailand. It was kind of like off this designated area off Thailand where they fought, and it's all over ice, which was alright.
Thailand. It was, but continue. It wasn't. I don't even think it was Asian. It was.
No. Maybe I was wrong.
Anyway,
but that setting was okay. But still, I don't think any of the action sequences are quite good. I feel like we go through a lot of the same tropes we went through the first movie. That of course, the two people that don't seem to be getting along or don't belong together always are the ones that. And in this movie, I don't know if it bothered me in the first movie, but the whole. What did they call it? The mental handshake or the neural handshake? Mm-hmm. The more they said it, the more it just sounds so tacky and lazy. And I was just like, really? Like that's where we're gonna go? Charlie Day is in this movie. Yeah, he's nowhere near as like I thought. I think he was like really kind of funny in the first one, but I think even in the first movie, I said that he was way too much, like way too over the top, and like way too out there in every single sequence.
I thought this one was 10 times worse.
Yeah, I don't think
he was like the twirly mustache, like.
I
will kill you.
Yeah. So I think
I didn't like Charlie Day in this movie, dog.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Did not like him.
And I guess for everything else, I just feel like it was a very familiar story. I don't think it really brought anything new. I don't really care to be on this journey anymore, even though, I guess I'll say that for spoilers, but I don't care. And I think that overall, the idea that this whole war is like this major, like really kind of affecting the characters, I think that's way more of an interesting place to go, and we get that in the beginning. Like the first, I think 15 minutes are the strongest of this movie, like learning about how the world's recovering, how people are living their lives now. Like in the very beginning, John Boyega, I think, gives a car for like 12 bottles of sriracha. And like granted, that's cheesy, but I think there's something interesting there rather than just going and doing the same thing. I mean, we're back in the same compound, we're the same cadets, like we're doing the same very familiar thing. So if you're a big fan of Pacific Rim, I think you just stay home, watch that on DVD, and save your money. But let's get into spoilers.
Sure.
So somewhat alluded to by you, Charlie Day is the kind of mustache twirling villain.
Bro.
They kind of make you believe that there's this rogue robot, the rogue transformer, if you will, and because they do very much replicate like Transformers in this movie.
Yeah,
it's so much like
the movie's too It's Transformers, just a different name.
Only they're slow, and the action is shot much slower. So it makes the one thing that people do like about Transformers, the fact that they're so fast-paced, things there's so much happening, so much more slow. And granted, I've never liked the Transformer action sequences because they can't even follow what's going on. And this movie is just like, and I get it, you want to make that kind of realistic, but there's no excitement there, there's no tension. I'm sorry. So
Charlie Day. So yeah, I don't know. Oh, so like the idea is that this rogue robot is controlled by this company. They make you believe that it's this one, the lady,
Charlie Day's boss, the owner of this company, who is kind of being evil, and then lo and behold, it's Charlie Day. And the way they introduce that, I think, is awful, and I think the whole entire storyline loses its balance after that. I mean, I'm not quite sure the first one.
Controls.
Yeah,
did that happen at the end of the first one?
So yeah, at the end of the first one. At the end of the first one, they have to go in the mind of the aliens, right? And I'm assuming these precursors, what they're calling it in this film, they infected his mind, and now they've planted ideas. So he has all these voices, if you will, that are alien related. And but the way they introduce it, Charlie Day walks into his apartment as if he was talking to his girlfriend. And I Want to Know What Love Is playing. And he walks into a room, there's a big tank with a brain in it. And I don't know if that's supposed to be funny or shocking, but it's annoying and it doesn't make any sense.
Was that in the first one?
I think that's the brain that they go into at the end of the first one.
So he ended up taking it home.
He ended up taking it home and falling in love with it, I believe. Or they infected his mind.
No, that's how I interpret it. Yeah, that is how I interpreted it.
Or I mean, because like if they didn't do that, I mean, you could say that, it infected his mind and he was being told to do these things. But when you do the sequence of him talking to it like it's his girlfriend, and like singing a song, and you allude to the fact that it's like a relationship almost, and it's just silly and it doesn't make much sense. And then Charlie Day from then on out is just ridiculous, and he's not good. And I like Charlie Day, but he always seems to be over the top. And in this movie, while he's over the top,
on that level,
he can't pull off a bad guy. And I mean, even the moment it's revealed, it's the camera goes Hitchcockian, it turns on an angle to let you know things are awry, and it is like oh, that's where we're going with this, huh? It's as for his woman brain or whatever it is, and the rest of the movie is just kind of really annoying, and it's kind of a bummer that this whole entire thing is happening because Charlie Day is typing on an iPad.
Don't make me mad. Yeah. And then the ending scene where, as his kaiju gets hit, Charlie Day is like, "No, yes." I'm just like, okay.
I thought the most interesting thing they did with the kaiju were the little combiner things. I did think that was cool. I thought that was like, oh, that's a cool idea. I wish we would have explored that more. It only happens this one time, so they're kind of just there to conveniently make this monster bigger. But I think that would have been something cool to check out or introduce earlier in the movie.
You're kinder than me.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, all these are all issues. I think there was potential, at least in some places. I don't think the monsters look particularly good, and I think they all tend to look the same. They don't really go out of their way to really separate them, where they do. At least the robots kind of look distinct, particularly the four that are kind of really important in the movie. But the aliens, they all have the same kind of jaw. I mean, they all got that little spider thing going. It's whatever. So overall, I was really disappointed with this movie. I don't think the Charlie Day storyline is helping at all. I think that's really a major downfall of the movie.
And then we get a part 3 now, where it sounds like now they're gonna go there.
So now the thing is, we're gonna go there.
So they don't come from the underground?
No, they come from another dimension.
Understood.
Yes, in the Pacific Rim, the bridge opens, and the bridge is where they come from. So
that was in part 1.
Yeah, and in this one, remember when all the robots are opening the portal?
Oh, is that what that was?
Yeah, they're opening the portal. That's why
I thought they were like unleashing it from underwater.
Oh yeah, well it is underwater. The portal is underwater.
Okay.
So it's like in the water. It's like literally in the Pacific Ocean.
Got
and when
it.
they open up, they emerge. Yeah. See, I mean, like it's things like that where it's just like, all right, it's whatever. I mean, I know. I got all these things, but it didn't make anything effective for me. And you know, it was just like, oh, they like literally opened up 30 portals and only 3 monsters got in. I guess that's convenient, but I mean, if the one thing you liked about this movie is that there was a lot of really action between robots and aliens, it's not the case here. I don't think there's much action.
I agree.
I thought the girl was good. I don't know the girl's name off the top of my head.
The young girl?
The younger girl who John Boyega teams up with. I do think they had an interesting chemistry, and I think like that was the kind of one thing I was looking forward to. Is eventually we knew they were going to.
Yeah, I said
mutually
I said
handshake.
in my head, I was like, these two are going to.
Oh yeah, they had to, because just like in the first movie, it's the two that don't get along and they are complete opposites. But another thing I didn't like is that at one point when they're trying to do it the first time in training, John Boyega and her, they're trying to shake and they kind of allude to her past. But then we never go back there. We never have her character kind of accept that and move on. It just like they showed it and then it moves on from there. Her name is Cailee Spaeny, I believe is pronounced, and I thought she was quite good. I mean, I was like really interested in her character, and I thought she was kind of the one good thing out of the movie, besides John Boyega.
Who was better, Pacific Rim Uprising or Transformers 5 last night or 4 or whatever it was? Which one's better?
Well, the last Transformers was awful. The one with like the knights and the King
which one?
Arthur. Oh god.
So Uprising?
I would say Uprising just because John Boyega at least is charismatic enough. I couldn't even. Was it Mark Wahlberg?
Mark Wahlberg.
See, I didn't even remember. I almost forgot. And Anthony Hopkins is in that. I'm a huge Anthony Hopkins fan. But we had like a Jar Jar Binks character in the last Transformers. Put it this way, they're both not good, but lesser of two evils for sure is Transformers 5. I just hope we don't get that high with Pacific Rim. Unless we start writing better.
There's no way, dog.
I don't think.
There's no way.
Honestly, I don't know if the movie will do well.
I think this movie will bomb
depending
in
on China.
America.
Yeah.
And then I don't even think. I mean, it's gonna have to
really pull some weight.
Yeah, and I just don't think so. I think honestly, China is like, once they even see how much money's being made, they're like, okay, what's enough? No,
Yeah.
for real.
No,
Yeah, I think it's like, okay, they've made enough.
Yeah.
Let's cut the movie.
So, but even though I would say we've had 1-2 good weeks out of the past, now going on 4 months as we're getting the end of March, we do have something to look forward to next week.
I'm so pumped, bro. I'm expecting big, huge things.
Huge. It's going to be big.
Movie.
We don't get political here.
Sorry. Steven Spielberg.
That was funny. Yeah, Steven Spielberg's Ready Player One. So a movie that
nostalgia factors,
plenty of nostalgia.
Video games.
There's going to give you plenty of
Back to the Future, DeLoreans,
Freddy Krueger,
King Kong, Jaws,
I'm trying to think
the
of other
T-Rex from
people.
Jurassic Park.
I would love to see some good.
Harley Quinn, Deadpool, or Deathstroke.
Oh, see, forget all that. I would love to see some good Jaws homages. That would be amazing. But a movie that my eyebrows raised, but I am intrigued. I've heard a lot of great things about the book, and I think this movie obviously has a lot of factors that wouldn't seem to be a big success. So hopefully we break the streak.
Yeah,
we get out of dump months because we are by the end of this. So we have 1 more week of March, and then we'll be in April, and then we get Infinity War.
That's crazy. That's only a month away, bro.
Yeah, it's a month
and
away.
It's
And then, before you know it, we'll be in summer. We'll get Han Solo. It's going to be, hopefully, a major shift. But let's try to get through the rest of this month.
I love it. So we'll see you guys next week. Text us if you want to come.
Absolutely. AMC Town Square every Thursday at 10 p.m. Make sure to join us in our private screenings. Me, this guy. Even though, really shouldn't bring this up on camera, but did you know where the name Jacob comes from? Jacob is my real name, if you didn't know.
Where does it come from?
Yes. In Latin, Jacob is actually or Jacob, if you will. I'm probably pronouncing that not very well, but I do know it comes from Latin, and it was actually Latin for James. So, we have the same name, kind of.
I love it.
But next week, join us for Ready Player One. It's going to be really big, and I really think it'd be a really great time for you guys to come all out. It's going to be a movie that's going to get a ton of fan interaction.
Yeah.
So it's a movie you want to go see.
And probably a lot of cheering and all that good stuff.
Basically all the different nerds combined into one theater cheering for different things.
Yee.
The horror geeks, the Marvel nerds, you know, all the video game people. So,
ChasingCinema.com.
Film Lovers website.